The phones are full once more. We're going to run over to Michigan and talk to Renie, who has a question about a thyroid condition. Hey, Renie, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glennon. Thanks for taking my call. I'm on my way down to visit my sister, who is, I believe, dealing with hyperthyroid. But before I say that, though, I do want to give a plug-in for your health recovery program. If everyone listening, if they're not on it, that they need to check it out, that it's check it out. Like you say, check it out for a month and see what you think. But my question about my sister, she just turned 52, and she's been dealing with a lot of stress with their small business and everything, and we thought she was dealing with depression, which, of course, concerned us because our family this time 29 years ago, my dad committed suicide.
Ouch.
And so, yeah. So a couple, maybe 10 days ago, I'm trying to think now, she finally decided, okay, she would start drinking the Beyond Tiki Tangerine and the plant-derived minerals and taking the EFAs. And then this last Sunday, my brother-in-law ended up taking her into the emergency room, and they put her on Ativan, and then that day she seemed to do pretty good or whatever. And so then the next day she had a doctor appointment, and now they're wanting to. So far the blood tests have shown possible thyroid issues. Well, now the more I'm looking at her and I'm thinking that I think she's maybe hyperthyroid. She lost 35 pounds in like 2 months. She is very shaky, tremors. What's the other stuff that I noticed? Oh, her eyes. I think her eyes are even kind of bulging out a little bit. And so I went over your thyroid webinar, and so I'm actually on my way down there I'm taking her a bottle of selenium and some myrrh oil.
Yep.
And with the myrrh oil, 3 times a day, you can rub it on the thyroid.
Yeah, there's no downside to using more of that, and, we don't really know the appropriate dosage, but, 3 times minimum.
Okay.
Some right in the morning when you wake up after you take your shower, a little bit after lunch, and then a little bit more right before bed. If you also want to do another dose between lunch and bedtime right around dinner, then that's okay too. I mean, you can't overdo it with that stuff. But, it's interesting because most people with hyperthyroid are not depressed. I mean, it's the rare hyperthyroid person who is actually depressed, number one. Number two, beware the diagnosis of the MD, because a lot of the MDs, they're just, I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm full of myself and I'm bashing people, but my experience with MDs is it is the rare medical doctor who makes the correct diagnosis. They get it wrong all the time, number one. Number two, Ativan, which is also called lorazepam, is a benzodiazepine. And benzodiazepines are an extremely addictive substance. Benzodiazepines are more addictive than heroin is. Benzodiazepines are more addictive than heroin is. Your sister and everybody else who's taking Xanax or lorazepam or Ativan needs to educate themselves about the net negative side effects of these drugs moving forward, because it is very, 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 very difficult to get off of these drugs once you do not need them anymore. And most medical doctors are completely unaware of this. They give this stuff out like candy, and there ought to be a law. So, if your sister is smart, then have her look up the side effects of benzodiazepines. Just do a Google search for Ativan. It pops right up. And that should put the fear of God into her as far as taking the advice of these people moving forward, because this stuff doesn't fix anything. It just paints over the mold, so to speak, and then you're addicted to the paint, which is good for the drug companies, not so good for you. I'm going to tell you, I'll finish up my thoughts on this, Renie, on the other side. And if we lose you on the cell phone, you can listen to the podcast with your sister. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, talking to Renie in Michigan, driving to see her sister, who God only knows what the MDs have diagnosed correctly or incorrectly. Are you still with me, Renie?
I am. am. Yep.
All right, very good. So the first thing that I would do, after you educate your sister about Ativan and how it works. Oh, and by the way, people drink alcohol because they like the way that alcohol makes them feel. I mean, we don't drink alcohol because we're alcoholics. We drink alcohol because we like the way we feel after we drink alcohol, right? I mean, it's a stress reliever, right? It makes you less inhibited. It makes you feel better temporarily, of course, and it's a drug. The reason alcohol makes you feel better, it's a drug action. Well, when someone takes Ativan, they're going to feel better also. It's a drug action. It's not curative. It's not healing. It's a drug action, the same way that, if you take 2 or 3 shots of tequila, before you hit the floor, you're going to feel better. So we need to make a distinction between something that's healing the problem, if it is depression, and something that's just, drugging you into a stupor so that you feel better. And that's what Ativan does. That's what the benzodiazepines do. Of course she's going to feel better after she takes it. That's how it works. It's the rare person that takes a benzodiazepine that doesn't feel better. Okay, number one. Now, the other thing is, really, I would make sure that she has a second opinion. I would get a second opinion from a doctor at a different hospital or, a different part of town. Just get a different diagnosis from somebody because she may have hyperthyroidism. She may really be depressed. God only knows what it is. In any event, regardless of where we're going here with the diagnosis, the recommendation is to support and promote the structure and function of every aspect of her body in a holistic way. So she needs to start with not just the Beyond Tangy and the essential fatty acids, but she needs to do the entire 90 essential nutrients. She needs to do the entire 90 essential nutrients, and this, of course, includes the liquid calcium. It's very important that she gets the liquid calcium because not enough calcium has an effect on your sleep and has an effect on your mood. So we need to dial in the 90 essential nutrients toot sweet. In addition to that, because of the stress of her life, and if you're reporting to me that she has a high stress, experience of life in the last little while, then one of the first things that your body burns up when you're stressed out by whatever it is that you're stressed out by are the B vitamins, B like baby. So anybody that's in a high-stress environment is counseled to guard themselves against the stress by supplementing their diet with more B vitamins, B like baby. And Youngevity's B vitamin is called de-stress, like detoxify, de-stress, de-stress. So I would give her the Healthy Start Pack, appropriate for body weight, 1 bottle of de-stress. Everybody gets the selenium, right? I mean, everybody does. 1 bottle per 50 pounds of body weight per month. And I would have her physician do a hemoglobin A1C test. Hemoglobin A1C, that will tell you whether her blood sugars are normal or not. And if the blood sugar results come back that she's in the high end of normal or she's over she's outside of the normal reference range, then we want to give her blood sugar support, and we do that by adding sweeties into the mix at 1 bottle per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Hemoglobin A1C is the test, and also I would recommend she gets tested for free T3, T like Thomas, free, like Free Willy, free T3 and free T4. Free T3 and free T4. These are both blood tests any physician can order. Quite frankly, she can order these tests herself online by going to mdlabtest.com, and that's on back of the pharmacy card that Youngevity has. You can order your own blood work. Did you know that? You don't need a doctor's order anymore. I think Maryland is the only state or only part of the United States that prevents that. So, free T3, free T4, and hemoglobin A1C. I just counseled someone to do this, and I think the total cost for those 3 tests is about $130. Well worth it if she's in the woods with a depressed event or a potential, overactive or underactive thyroid. So you got to dial in what's wrong with her initially before we start tilting at windmills here. But whichever way the diagnosis goes, once you've dialed in a definitive diagnosis by someone who actually knows what the heck they're doing, which is rare in MD land, you want to give her the Healthy Start Pack and the selenium and the de-stress, just because that stuff can't hurt. So, and, the myrrh oil also won't hurt. So that's how I would do it, Renie. Don't leave out the calcium. Don't leave out the de-stress. And, if she doesn't want to jump into this water, what I would do is I would print up the side effects of the benzodiazepines and leave them in her hands with a copy of a brochure from a funeral home, and just tell her to get in touch with you when she gets her head out of her you-know-what, because we can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And hopefully listening to this podcast here will help to solidify in her mind, number one, that the benzodiazepines is an absolutely harmful juvenile therapeutic. It should be outlawed, by my way of thinking. And, you gotta really dial in the diagnosis first, definitively, before you take a drastic step like that. In any event, that's my approach there, Renie.